Okay, class, what we're going to do here is take a look at the, well, hue saturation tool now. The hue saturation adjustment layer is ultimately the adjustment layer that gives you the greatest control over color. It allows you to shift color or change the hue. You can saturate or desaturate, or you can ultimately select specific ranges of color and change them, which is what we're going to do when we do a local color correction. Now, in a local color correction, we're identifying small areas within an image that have casts and further correcting them. And again, it ultimately works on the same principle. We're applying the opposite color. So this is an example of skin tone. Remember we talked in class that with Caucasian skin tone, you don't want to have more magenta than yellow. You want to have magenta be less than yellow by roughly 10 points. Okay, so if I use my eyedropper tool set to 3 by 3, and I take a look at the CMYK value on the right side of my info panel, I can determine that this area here is roughly the proper skin tone because my yellow is 10% more than my magenta, pretty much. If I go lower than that, what I'm ultimately getting is magenta becoming too close, and that's improper skin tone. When I click on my hue saturation, what I can ultimately do is go into a specific channel, select the color, and then change it. If I come over to my magenta channel, and I use these eyedropper tools, and they're different than the eyedropper tool here, so we realize this. This allows me to add color to a very specific selection so I can change it. And where everybody usually gets confused is they try to sort of select good areas and things like that. When you want to select and change something, you've got to add the bad stuff to your selection. Imagine you're taking all the bad skin tone, throwing it in a bucket, and tossing the bucket out the window. So I'm going to click on the eyedropper tool that has a plus, and that is right here. And I'm going to find my bad skin tone, which is more or less the bottom. I'm going to click on this. You'll see that this bar shows me what is selected. Basically, I have selected the red and the magenta area. Anything in the blue or the yellows or the greens is not selected, and I can tell us by this gray bar. It says here to here is selected, here to here is kind of almost half selected. It's a bit feathered, basically. Once I've got my bad skin tone, I just want to make sure that I'm not selecting my good skin tone, just in case I do add something. And what you can see is that I actually took this selection and decreased it. So I'm adding the bad, making sure I'm not selecting the good, and then I can change this like this and ultimately get proper skin tone. Now, you'll notice that the top of the image is totally different. The reason for this is because I want to explain this has too much yellow in it, but you'll notice I was unable to change these values because I'm in the magenta channel. If you guys need to change a different value, you have to go to a different channel. I can't try to come into here like this. You see this totally just changed, and it's horrible now. Let me just back up. There we go. If I go into my specific yellow channel, these values totally change. And now I can come in here, and I can add the bad, make sure to deselect the good, which is now the entire bottom of this image, and I'm going to change the hue until that becomes more or less acceptable. And again, all I'm ultimately doing is applying the opposite color. So it's applying a cooler cast to neutralize this, and this is applying magenta. For magenta, it's applying green. For up here, it's applying blue. That's pretty much it. That's how it works, guys. But what I want you to understand is that you can only really play with one color adjustment in a channel. So you want to fix magenta, which is typically the main problem with Caucasian skin tone, then you go in and you fix the magenta. If you want to play around with yellow, then you go to a different channel and play with yellow. But there you go. You cannot really manipulate multiple colors in the same channels. But that's ultimately how the hue saturation works, guys.